How's everybody doing today? You ready? Obviously, great win for us last week. I want to go back and thank all the fans that came out and cheered us on and helped create that unbelievable, great atmosphere for us. Unbelievable, in this time to have that energy and how critical their energy is in the course of the game. You go back, I think we've made a lot of improvements on both sides of the ball. But made some critical errors too. The turnovers offensively, giving them the ball on a short field twice to account for 14 of the 24 points we gave up really goes on the offense. And then at 38-14, our ability to finish the game. If you look at the game from that point forward, offensively not very good at all. Defensively, they're going for it a lot on fourth down, and you gotta understand that. When you get the big leads, getting off the field's not just about third down; it's about third down and fourth down, and so we got that stuff that we can continue to improve on. On the injury front, we got out of the game pretty healthy. As I said, I wasn't like with you guys, and it nothing last week with anything. Here's how we'll handle this the rest of the year, with the uniqueness of situations. Of COVID and everybody trying to figure out, okay, what's this guy got? What's this going on? Is he COVID positive? If he's not, for the safety, security, and the privacy of players. If someone does have an injury that'll keep anybody out a significant amount of time, I will certainly let you guys know on the injury front, as we did with Ethan White, who's coming along, and we expect him back hopefully within the next hopefully 2 more weeks. But everybody else will just kind of keep it going with who's available, who's not available, just who's not available on game day. But at this point, coming out of that game, we didn't have any injuries, and with the Ethan, like I said, is still 2 weeks, and Ethan Pounce, Ethan White, out a couple more weeks. We expect everybody to be available on Saturday.
Pat, you want to lead off?
Yeah, Dan, can you talk about the ability that other teams have been having the first 2 games to get first downs running the football? You guys have been given 25 first downs on the rush, and it seems like the edge guys aren't quite containing sometimes.
Yeah, there's a couple combinations of that. One, which is in game 1, a bunch of their first downs on third down conversions came on scrambles, which essentially is a run first down. Even though it's a pass play, right? So we kind of break it down in different categories. Is it a run play or pass play? And then there's a pass play that's a scramble, and a pass play that's a throw and a completion. I'll go here. I always like looking at people. So that's one. And then a couple of, and then a bunch of the other ones in the short yardage, and I think, you go back to this past game when you're 6, the defense, we stop them 11 out of 17 on third down, but give up 5 out of 6 on fourth down. And, a bunch of those were kind of fourth and shorts that we gave up the run. So, we got to make sure that we're taking care of business, not just third down, fourth down, especially when we're playing with a big lead.
Mark Long.
So, Dan, with that said, do you consider some of the defensive issues fluky a little bit? I mean, you did plays to get to 350 yards or whatever it was.
Certainly not fluky. I think, if you watch it, I think it's growing into it. I think we tackled significantly better this game, and our effort was significantly better this past game. I think we're still getting into the live aspect of football and the different things for especially guys that haven't played. When you look at it, say, hey, Coach, we're great on third down. When you're up 38, whatever it is, 38-14, whatever it was at that point, when you're up at that score, it really goes into fourth down. Middle of the third quarter, they started going. They were a 4-down team, and so that is you have double the you have to make 2 plays to get off the field instead of 1. So I think that's part of it, of how the game came on. And I think, one thing I'd love to see us do is start faster. If you look at the last 2 games, we've kind of started slow, completely shut them down in the middle, and then didn't finish at the end. And then this week you throw into that the offense not finishing at the end. From 38-14, when you look at that stat line at 38-14, from that point forward, we had 9 plays for 11 yards on offense. had a turnover and a 3-and-out. You know, I don't count the take a knee at the end of the game. You know what I mean? But 9 plays, 11 yards, a 3-and-out, and a turnover. Defensively had 40 plays for 160 yards. More than a third of their yards came after we were up 38-14. Gave up 10 points and then stopped them on a goal line play at the end. So, you know, it's our ability right then as a full, complete team at that point to put the game away. You know, you're a stop or a score away really from the game being completely out of reach, and a lot of backups even playing, you know, and that was disappointing that we didn't do that. It kind of like, you know, we kind of started a little bit slow defensively, got into a rhythm and jumped out big. And then kind of, instead of let's finish the game, we just kind of cruise to the finish line. And we got to, you know, we got to get that changed.
How do you teach or coach that killer instinct that you're talking about, that step on your throat mentality?
Well, I just think it comes from, you know, of playing. You know what I mean? It's getting back into that whole game mindset. You know, it's like, hey, at practice, hey, we got it taught. I got it figured out. I know we got this period. I got it, coach. I'm kind of going through the motions. You know, and guys looking at a scoreboard saying, okay, 38-14, we got this one kind of in the bag. I know we got to keep playing, but let's go through the motions. And you can't do that, you know. And I just think it's maybe a side effect of everything going on right now, you know, that just part of the whole deal. So it's something we talked about this morning as a team, and it's something we talked about that it comes from practice. It's got to be addressed at practice. It's got to be addressed on how we practice. It's got to be addressed with every aspect and every member of the team of start to finish, the effort we give in the looks we give, whether I'm on a scout team or whether, you know, I'm a backup or I'm a starter. I mean, it's got to start at practice with just that mindset of complete, while we're playing, everything we do, maximum effort and finish.
Robbie.
Hey, Coach, I was just wondering, as an offensive guy, how frustrating is it when you only get a handful of plays in an entire quarter? And do you think teams are going to try to control the ball on you more in the future to keep your offense on the bench?
Yeah, I think teams have their plan of who they are, you know. Like you played Ole Miss 2 weeks ago. They were just going to go as fast as possible. South Carolina plan obviously was to, you know, ball control, slow the game way down, limit the number of plays we get offensively. So, you know, I think that goes from game to game, you know, but it shows the efficiency you need offensively. You got to be efficient on offense, and that's a big thing we always harp on because you don't know how many plays and opportunities you get. Obviously, our last couple possessions offensively were very disappointing. Really, the whole second half very disappointing offensively of the game. But you know, I mean that's the key, the kind of the key to being efficient throughout the course of the game.
Matt Baker.
Hey, Dan, how well do you know Jimbo Fisher? I think you guys have gone up against each other several times when you were assistants, but not as head coaches, right?
Yeah, I don't think we've played against him because he got to A&M when I got here. Is that right? About right? Yeah, so I don't think I've ever played against him that way. So, I mean, I know him. I know him, talk to him a little bit. I know him from the SEC meetings and know him as a head coach and talk him that way, but, you know, never spent a significant amount of time with him. Always thought, I mean, does a great job. Obviously, a great offensive coach. You know, puts his guys in good position to make plays, innovative, not, you know, understands how to utilize the personnel that he has to build the offense around the personnel, not just, hey, this is our system and I got to slam everyone has to fit this exact system. Has the ability to kind of play to the strengths of his players.
And what's jumped out to you on film just in your early lookings at A&M?
You know, I mean, everything. They're very, very talented players. Got a veteran quarterback. They got a bunch of really good skill players offensively that can make plays in the pass game and in the run game. You know, defensively, hands down the best defensive front we've seen. They've been a little banged up in the secondary, but they got really athletic guys and veteran linebackers. So, you know, certainly a team. I know that preseason, a lot of people expecting to go compete for the SEC West Championship, and you can see why on film that they are a legit football team. You know, even last week's game, you saw them. I mean, you know, I saw them play right with Alabama, with the exception of explosive plays. You know, I mean, You look at some of the big number plays. It wasn't like Alabama was just driving the ball up and down the field on them. They hit some explosives to kind of pull the game away.
Thanks.
Edgar.
Yeah, hey Dan. It's too early to make too many judgments, but I had a couple nonetheless. Well, offensive balance has been elusive again. 357 to 138. Is that just the nature of the team? Is that okay? What are the causes there?
No, I don't know. You always play to the strength of your guys, so you go with what's working. Like our goal coming in this week, our goal is to be 50-50, right? And if we can knock them off the ball, run the ball, we'll do that. And if they're struggling covering us, we're going to keep throwing it. And so. I don't know, that's my best answer for you. Our goal, when we read up the game plan, our goal going into every game is to be 50-50. The first two games that, we go and do our evaluations, we're run efficient. So our run game's been very efficient, been a positive for us this year as we evaluate from play to play the run efficiency. So our run game's been actually really good this year. We've had a lot of success throwing it, so we've probably called more pass plays. And but our goal is to be 50-50.
You're averaging 45 points. I'm not ripping you guys. I was just kind of curious.
I'm with you. But like statistically, I don't know, as you're just calling plays, you kind of get into a flow of things and you're looking at matchups and how people are playing you, where we're getting the ball, who we want to get it to, kind of the flow of the game and how it goes sometimes too, I don't know.
What do you think of the All-SEC schedule? It's early again, but you guys basically swapped out South Alabama in week 3 for a visit to Kyle Field.
Yeah, and nothing against South Alabama, but Texas A&M's probably a little bit better, and. I think it's going to be a challenge. I think obviously when you look at it playing the All-SEC schedule, I think it's a lot of fun. I think it makes every game is critical. I think, when you're playing in the best conference in college football, not even really close, and you got to play 10 conference games, right? And everybody else is playing 7 or 8. It's it certainly is going to lead for a challenging year. But you know what? If you're a competitor, I'm a competitor, and our guys are competitor. I think our guys are really excited about having the opportunity to play an All-SEC schedule and just every week being a big-time game.
Thank you.
David.
Coach, this past week on the second drive of a tied SEC game, you have Whittemore, Shorter, and Henderson out there at wide receiver, Wright at running back on the field together, and also part of the drive right before halftime. Do those situations show how much you trust those young guys?
Absolutely. And, they came out, you look at them, and they make plays. One of the things we try to do is roll our guys through. And, kind of going back to the other one, you're going to play a 10-game SEC schedule. With COVID, with everything else happening, you better have guys got to be ready for the next man up mentality more than ever before. So part of our job is making sure guys are ready to go do that. And you don't get better always sitting on the bench the entire time. So we're not afraid to roll guys through and get them out there on the field. And those guys. Trent came out, had a pretty good game. Shorter came out, had a pretty good game. Xavier Henderson's played pretty well so far. And, what happens is when you get in on Sunday afterwards and you look at the total number of reps, very much to what we did last year, it's going to keep guys healthier for the course of the season, hopefully. It keeps them fresher during the course of the game. The receivers are major contributors in special teams. And the running backs, our skill players, are major contributors in special teams. So that's one of the reasons we do it is those guys work out of the practice. They've earned the right to get some snaps. We keep them in, and I think it helps the program as a whole.
Cassidy.
Hey, Dan. I know you were talking about the last drive, or especially in the fourth quarter, some of that is just the offense taking their foot off the gas. But Todd talked last week as well about at the Ole Miss game, when you know that the other team is down 2 scores, they're going to have to get an onside kick. You almost want to give them a clock a little bit. From an offensive perspective, what could you do to counteract that? I mean, what?
Well, I think this, and I look at things this way. When you're, and I've always believed this as an offensive coach. When you're down 2 scores, right, you have to get the first before you can get the second. And sometimes you get in such a rush to get the first, you never give yourself an opportunity to get the second. So, obviously, you got to manage the clock. You got to look at your timeout situation, the score of the game. How much time do you need for the second score, right? And make sure you put yourself in a position to get the second score, but not at a panic to not get the first, if that makes sense. So, you're always, when you come out there in a lot of the situations that you're in, depending on the clock, you're going to kind of, instead of going hurry up 2-minute offense, you're going to run your offense to get the first score. Now, eventually there gets to the point where you got to pick up the tempo and go. But you want to run your offense to get that first score, and then now it's a 1-score game. Now, do you onside kick? What's our timeout situation? Do we kick deep and pin them deep and try to get the ball back and how much time we need if we can get off the field? Do we try the onside kick with the amount of time left, or how is that going to affect field position when we get it back another time? So I think all of those things come into consideration, how you're trying to manage the game in the fourth quarter. And it does defensively. If you look, the last 2 games, and I want to, trust me, and I know Todd, all of us talk about, we want to get off the field, get the defense off the field, get the offense back on the field, up multiple scores in the fourth quarter, but not to the point where we want to give up an explosive play and give them an easy score. We want to make them earn it. So it's kind of that fine line back and forth. And each of the last 2 weeks, basically, the defense has kind of finished the game out on the field by basically the defense eating up the clock for us instead of the offense having to go out there and grind it out with first downs. Let the defense, force them to go on a long drive, keeping it all in front of them. Don't give them anything easy and basically end the game.
And I know, for fans or just people watching, that can be frustrating to watch and think, why are they letting them pick up, 6 yards for a first down? But as analytics has become more and more a part of it, how much of your mindset has changed to do something?
Well, it is. It is, right? I mean, a good term I had a friend of mine use after a game. It was like annoying, we want to get a stop and get the offense on the field. It kind of got annoying, but it also won. And, in the end, our goal is to win football games however we need to do it. And, now trust me, I'd rather us get off the field, get the offense the ball back and go score again and finish the game out that way and not, even have the opportunity for it to get close at the end after being up, we were up 24 in the third quarter, to not even let it get close. But you're also going to play, everything you're doing is playing to win the game, not to not to make mistakes. It'd be a terrible thing to sit there and say, hey, our I don't know what that would be, just our decisions cost us the game. I never want to sit there and say, boy, our decisions to play maybe for fun or excitement or whatever the word might be cost us a game instead of doing what we needed to do to win.
Thanks, Dan.
Buddy.
Hey, Dan.
Hey.
Can you explain a little bit about your grading process? Who does the grading?
Yep.
And is it true that Whittemore was among the highest graded?
Yeah, he graded out a champion. So our grading process is this. Basically the position coaches grade it, and the coordinators will meet with them afterwards. We'll watch it kind of together as a group to go through the grades. So, on ours, either you get an S or you did the right thing, minus you did the wrong thing. You get a plus. You did the right thing and something special beyond that, a double minus. You had an MA turnover, made a critical error. A 0, you really had no effect on the play. You weren't involved in the play in any way, shape, or form. Then mathematically, we have the formula we kind of use to grade all that out. I'm not going to get into all the math on it right now, but essentially, and if you grade 80%, you grade a champion for us, And so we had a bunch of guys that graded out champions this week. Whittemore was one of the guys that graded the champion, had a great game. It helps because I think he, a touchdown, so you get a plus for a touchdown, a plus for a spectacular catch over the middle, as well as being consistent on your other plays, so you get kind of that extra credit on those things. But that's how the system works. And we look at guys that we figure if you grade 80% or above, that's a championship effort, or a championship effort, and so you grade a champion, and you're on the board downstairs, you get recognized in front of the team, you get your a champion tag and all that stuff.
Okay, and if or a battery dies, can you talk about the offense and defense in terms of how they come together? And you as the head coach, I know there's a tendency for coaches to be more concerned about their own area of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
I know one time Coach Spurrier made it a point to ride the defensive bus because he felt like he might be sliding. Is there any of that going on?
No, I ride the defensive bus. Well, now we don't. Now everybody's in assigned specific bus seats of that. Normally defense is on bus 1, and I ride with the defense. But it isn't. No, I think we come together. Me as a head coach, my job, I know I'm a little more offensive oriented, but I spend on the practice field, I spend as much time with the defense as I do the offense. In the meeting times, I spend more with the offensive staff than the defensive staff. Just because that's kind of where my specialty is and where I've always been. But I do think as a coaching staff, we come together every week to know what the plan is and make sure everybody's on the same page, right? Our goal is to win the game. And if we win 3-0, that's a celebration. And if we win 42-41, that's a celebration. And chances are, both could frustrate fans, but usually it's what the plan was going into it, right? We're collaborating, which is, hey, offensively, hey, we want to. This team's a super high tempo team. We might need to play a little bit more ball control to give the defensive guys some rest between series, and that'll affect how we do things offensively. Okay, hey, this team is a big time defense. So defense, we need this. Hey, we have got to be able to create 3 and outs to flip field position for the offense. Saying, these guys got great players. It's going to be tough for us to drive the length of the field. Everything kind of works and is coordinated together within the staff so that we go into a game, we kind of know the offensive and defensive plan as coaches. The players, they know, and we put on them to a point of what we do, but not as much as the entire. Before the game, we talk a little bit about the big picture. After the game, we talk about the big picture of it all. But they have so many responsibilities from one play to the next. I'm worried about, are you going as hard as you can doing your job on this play? And we'll take care of the big picture part of managing the whole course of the game for you.
Thank you.
Nick.
Hey, Coach. After the game, you mentioned kind of we take what the defense gives us. I mean, that's probably hard to do for a quarterback when you've got someone like Kyle Pitts.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes Kyle Trask uniquely, I guess, able to kind of do that when you have a guy like Kyle Pitts, but to still be able to spread the ball around and take what the defense gives him?
Well, I mean, you know what? He's been in the system for a while. Brian does a great job coaching the quarterbacks, and we talk about it is, as we design it, you come out, you look at the coverage, you're looking at the matchup, you have an anticipate. You don't assume, but you anticipate where you think the ball is going to go, and then you go through your read and you deliver the ball to where it's supposed to be. And that's why he's playing quarterback for us. If he wasn't doing that, we'd go with somebody else. And that's just kind of what we've always expected of our quarterbacks. Now we have get-it-tos. And on those ones, he's going to try to he's getting the ball to that guy, But if not, I'm just going through my progression and I'm just going through my reads and taking what the defense gives me. And, that's the sign of what we expect out of quarterbacks. That's a sign of good quarterback play, to be honest with you. And, that's our job is to kind of create the matchups or the get-it-tos or to create advantageous matchups for a guy like, Trey Grimes or Kyle Pitts or Kadarius Toney or whoever's in the game to create those advantageous matchups for the receivers or, motion of running back. You've seen us do that a bunch, motion running backs, how we're creating the matchups on us as we create the game plan. His job is to just go take that game plan and manage it throughout the course of the game.
I think you've said in the past play calling is kind of collaborative between you and Billy and John and Brian. Has it changed? The play calling changed at all with Brian being the offensive coordinator this year? What's the process?
No, it's really the same deal right there. We're all very collaborative in the game plan, putting it all together. Between series, we kind of get opinions of what everybody wants to run and what they like. And then while we're on the field, Brian or I call the plays, and so – so that's kind of how the collaboration works is, this time, right now, everybody input's probably equal. In between series, everybody's input is kind of all equal of what we want to do. And then on that specific play, someone's got to spit it out. So sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Brian. Sometimes it's both of us. We both want to do something and we yell it out. So.
Thanks, Coach.
And I usually get the final say when that happens. Doesn't mean we're going to run my play. But if Brian and I both yell a play out, I'll be like, yep, run yours, call it. And, he just calls the play. So, I stop talking so it's not like multiple people saying things at the same time.
Zach.
Hey, Dan. Zach got named Defensive Lineman of the Week in the SEC. Can you just speak to what he did this offseason, putting on weight, making that full transition to defensive tackle, and how much that's helped you?
Well, I think when you looked at him, you look at a guy that can play inside outside with a little bit of a mix there. Now, and I think really you look at your self-evaluation. I think Zach's a guy that has bought into our program, more than or at least as much of any of the D linemen we've had since we've been here, of what we expect from him, the effort we expect him to play, and how we expect him to do it. Has done an amazing job of buying into all of that. And part of that also, you look at the self-evaluation. I'm saying, hey, I'm not this twitchy edge rusher, even though I have the athletic ability to play defensive end. And I'm kind of and I'm not this big, bulky interior guy. So how do I become this guy that's a really athletic interior guy that can be a bigger outside guy? And really buy into that. You've seen him look at what his strengths are and then build and play to his strengths and buy into his strengths. And you see the success he's having now. He's he's not going to be a big 330 inside guy, but he's really quick. He's big enough to be inside and quick inside. And he's not this twitch edge guy, but he's a big edge guy that has athletic ability. And so that, helps him create those different matchups where we move him around on the field.
And how much has him making that transition helped with Kyrie being out? Obviously you'd lose a 2-year starter at defensive tackle. It's got to affect at least the depth there, and to have him playing as well as he is.
Well, I think it does. You look at the first 2 games, the different guys that we've had missing on defense has made it a challenge, with guys missing for multiple reasons. And, it's made it a challenge. It's forced him to have to step up a lot more, sometimes when that stuff happens, when you have guys out, it might be a struggle in that given week, but it creates depth in the long term of a season. And hopefully we're going to see that as we move forward, that we're going to start having a lot more depth on the defensive front 7.
Is Kyle still not throwing a pick this year?
Kyle Trask?
Yeah.
He threw a pick.
It didn't look like it on the replay.
Well, I don't know. Call those guys then. They evaluate. They evaluate all the turnovers. So it's one thing. I think when you get into a challenge situation in the course of a game, on a bang play, you're going to think, do you want to challenge it? On anything like a scoring play, on any scoring plays or change of possession plays, there is a gap between, one play and the next. It's not, you don't see the offense. If it's a questionable play in our favor, man, you want to snap the ball as fast as you possibly can the next play. If it's a questionable play against our favor, we might hard count, take our time, snap it with 1 second on the play clock, right? or if we're not on offense, challenge one way or the other depending on that. But on those type of plays, they evaluate, they review every play, and so the ones that are going to have, you look after turnovers when there's a break in the action or a scoring play before a PAT field goal is going to be kicked. You just kind of assume they got the call right, because if it wasn't confirmed, they would stop the game.
Allen, and then close with Edgar.
Hey Dan, that rub play that freed up Whittemore on the goal line touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
What was sort of your impression of Justin Shorter's effectiveness?
He just ran a hitch. But the benefit he has, he's a big guy, so he goes and runs a hitch, and he's a physical guy. So sometimes hard to press physical guys. He did a great job just running a hitch and being there. But when you actually are, whatever it is, 6'4", 220, 225, when you go, you can push and get leverage, and then he hitches on the goal line, and they ended up both guys covering him, and Trent wheeled around it and came free. And the benefit of that, of having a big guy, is if the both guys passed off to Trent, you got this big giant guy standing there with a big target right in the middle of the end zone. So I thought he did a great job of it.
And also, can you assess sort of your tackles through 2 games? It looks like you guys obviously get the ball out quick a lot, but you've also given the downfield routes time to develop, so you must feel pretty confident about having 2 or 3 seconds back there to...
Yeah, I think those guys have done pretty good, and I'm always extremely critical, so there's things we can get better. At a consistent basis, though, I think those guys have played pretty solidly so far this year. But when you're going to throw the ball, we've thrown the ball probably, as Edgar said, we've thrown it more than we've run it so far this year. So those guys get put on a little bit more of an island, and then those expectations go up, or their chance of exposure goes up. And they've handled that well. And, it's nice to have guys that are veteran guys there that have played some football, so that they can handle all of that stuff.
Thank you, Dan.
Edgar.
Dan, I had one quick follow-up and then one question, if I may, please. The follow-up is...
Wouldn't that be 2 questions then?
It is. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure. But the follow-up is, do you see the cutthroat mentality in this team? I mean, you've had it with obviously a couple championship teams. I'm sure the 14 Mississippi State team. Do you see that with this group, or are you trying to
I think it's growing, and I don't want to downplay that we don't have it on that point. I think the season and the uniqueness of the season has led to that. If you would have said in March you think you're going to have that, I would have said yes. And I think everything gone on, I think we're still developing and figuring a lot of things out.
And the other thing is, what's been the biggest impact created by the pandemic, do you think, on the field for you? I mean, is it development of depth? And then what's been in your favor? I mean, Kyle Trask experience, obviously. I mean, what would you say to that question?
I don't know that I jumped at anything is in our favor. I'm not saying anything that is going on with the pandemic is a benefit, but I think I think our certain experience at certain positions, obviously continuity of the program, continuity of the staff, and experience at certain positions certainly helps when all of this is going on. On the flip side of it, you'd probably be just too much to even go of, for me, there are certain things we like within our development, and so much has been missed and so much is different and our routine's different and how we meet and how we do things. Everybody's very, very much out of their comfort zone, and I'm a very routine, discipline, structural development type person. And so that's probably the hardest thing, is just everything that's going on with the whole pandemic.
I appreciate it, Dan.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Is that it? We'll see y'all.
Thanks, Dan.
Talk to y'all Wednesday.